Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to briefly analyze how Saka's movement created first half issues for Slavia Prague. So first we're going to analyze how Arsenal looked to build attacks, then focus on how Slavia Prague looked to disrupt Arsenal's build-up play, and then we'll get to Saka's movement. So when we assess Arsenal's build-up play, what we end up seeing from the Gunners is that there wasn't real significant change. They did look to drop into a three-man backline when they were looking to progress the ball, and it often involved Xhaka dropping in between the center backs or dropping to the left of Gabriel. That meant that Thomas Partey was positioned in the center of the pitch, and what was interesting was the movement of the front four, because Bellerin and Cedric were pushing higher up the pitch to peg back Dorley and Olejinka, but what we ended up seeing from Willian and Saka was that they were dropping off deeper to check into the ball, and that would allow the fullbacks to push forward to provide the width. If you look to the left-hand side, Willian was checking into the ball to pull out Ba, and then Smith-Rowe was spinning off Hromada to break into the left channel. Over on the right-hand side, Saka was dropping off deeper to pull out the left back, but he often had space to shift to the right touchline for Lacazette to spin into that space, or he was spinning from the inside outwards to break in behind the Slavia Prague backline. The only real issue tactically that Arsenal encountered with this system was that Lacazette was also dropping off the center backs as well. So unless Saka and Smith-Rowe were breaking into space beyond the center forward, then Arsenal lacked a presence in that zone. There were times where we ended up seeing solely Saka spinning in behind the Slavia Prague left back to break in behind, but Lacazette dropped deeper and Smith-Rowe wasn't making a run in towards the 6-yard box. With Willian not offering the threat that Martinelli or Aubameyang does provide, then it left Arsenal undermanned in the opposing side's penalty area. If we briefly shift to how the away side looked to disrupt Arsenal's build-up play, they were positioned in a 4-5-1 out of possession, and what you ended up seeing was that the wide players would push out to the fullbacks, and midfield there was a 3v3 battle with Stanchu and Provod stepping towards Xhaka and Thomas Partey, and Hromada would be tasked with tracking the movement of Smith-Rowe. If Smith-Rowe looked to break beyond Hromada to break into space in the left channel, one of the center backs would pick up his movement, and what often happened was that Lacazette was dropping off deeper, so Hromada could step forward to close him down. The sole numerical advantage that Arsenal possessed involved their center backs against Sima, and it often saw one of the center backs being free to push forward into the midfield zone to play passes into the front four. And the opposition made it priority to step forward to close down that threat, whether it be having the spare shuttler pushing forward and blocking off the passing lane into his marker. For instance, if you had Stanchu stepping towards Xhaka, if Gabriel was pushing forward, he would look to step into Gabriel but block off the passing lane into Xhaka to ensure that he couldn't get on the ball. Or they could simply have Stanchu stepping towards Gabriel and having his midfield partner shift across the pitch to close down accordingly. Here you could see Arsenal looking to maximize their 2v1 advantage, with the Slavia shuttlers stepping towards Xhaka and Thomas Partey, and Dorley blocking off the passing lane into Cedric. Here you could see Gabriel playing the ball beyond Sima to Willian dragging out Ba towards the halfway line, but even with Xhaka dropping into an inside left position to push Cedric forward, the Slavia midfield shuttlers closed down Xhaka and Thomas Partey, and with Lacazette dropping into towards the halfway circle, you have Hromada or Zima looking to close him down. And then here you can see an example of Provod blocking off the passing lane into Thomas Partey as he steps towards holding, and with Sima initially closing down Gabriel, he's looking to cover for Provod by closing down Thomas, and then you can see Stanchu stepping away from Xhaka to deal with Lacazette moving in towards the halfway circle. You have Stanchu stepping towards Gabriel with Sima dropping off to Thomas Partey, Provod stepping towards Xhaka, and Dorley looking to step into the path of Cedric. That forces Gabriel to shift the ball to holding, and that's where you see Sima pushing towards the center back, Provod shifting towards Thomas Partey, and Stanchu dropping towards Xhaka with Olejinka stepping to Bellerin. That ultimately forces Holding to play the ball back to a center back partner, and then you see Stanchu stepping towards the center back, Provod once again shifting towards Xhaka, Sima dropping towards Thomas Partey, and Dorley once again stepping towards Bellerin. Gabriel is now forced to drop tighter to Holding, Stanchu blocks off the passing lane into Gabriel, and Provod shifts forward towards Thomas Partey, and that leads to Holding dropping the ball back to the keeper, and the squeeze increases. Stanchu steps steps closer towards Leno. Sima's looking to close down Holding. And then you have Hromada and Provad stepping towards the Arsenal double pivot, and it forces Leno to kick the ball away. While there were a few occasions where Slavia did press well, the biggest issue that they encountered in that opening half was that they were unable to sustain the press on the center backs, and it was often Holding who was able to push forward to pull out a shuttler to play passes into Saka or Lacazette, and that ultimately led to a bigger issue for Slavia as their backline didn't stick tight when they dropped off deeper to apply pressure on Lacazette and Saka, and it led to several high-quality chances that should have seen Arsenal kill off the game. Here you could see Holding pushing into Slavia's half to pull out a shuttler away from Thomas Partey, but look at Saka dropping off the left back into a pocket of space. When Holding splits Provad and Olayinka, he plays the ball into Lacazette, who takes his touch across Zima, and that's where you see Saka making a run across Hromada and off the center back shoulder. Lacazette ends up splitting the left back and Zima to play in Saka, but Slavia gets cover pressure from their additional center back, and now Saka has to shoot or attempt to cut across the center back, but he attempts to cut across the defender and he's able to clear danger. Shortly after that, you have Holding stepping forward with Stanshu shifting across and Sima dropping off on Thomas Partey, and Holding ends up playing the ball to Saka ahead of the left back, but look how much space he has to turn towards the outside and focus on Lacazette in a pocket of space ahead of Zima. What happens next is Saka shifts towards the touchline and he pulls Stanshu and the left back towards him, and that's where you see Lacazette making a run off Zima in behind. Saka locates the run and he ends up playing a ball across the center back for Lacazette, but it's slightly overhit. Here you can see Holding on the ball with Provad blocking the passing lane to Thomas Partey and Sima dropping off to close down the Arsenal midfielder. Holding is able to play the ball into Saka dropping in towards his own half, but look at the space between Saka and the Slavia left back, and Thomas Partey unmarked for a quick pass into the Arsenal midfielder. When Saka plays the ball into Thomas Partey, he pulls out Hromada and the left back, and it leaves Saka free in a pocket of space. So Thomas just simply plays the ball back to Saka, who turns, and that's where you see Olayinka being forced to step towards him, and it gives Bellerin space to break in beyond down that right channel. So Saka looks to play the ball across Olayinka for Bellerin pushing forward, but his first time ball was cleared by Zima. Later on in the game, you could see Holding stepping into Slavia's half with Bellerin as a passing option ahead of Provad, and once again Saka just ahead of the left back. When Holding slides the ball to Bellerin, it pulls out Provad, but look at Saka immediately looking to sprint off the left back shoulder into space down the right channel. Bellerin locates Saka's movement, and he ends up clipping the ball out towards Saka down the right touchline, and he's able to carry the ball towards the left back, and he takes him on 1v1, and he locates Lacazette making a run between the center backs towards the 6-yard box. But when Saka looks to play the ball in towards Lacazette, it's slightly overhit and it's cleared away. If we focus to an example of Saka in a narrow position, you have Holding stepping forward to pull out Provad, and you can see the gap between Olayinka and the left back. Holding exploits that and he locates Saka breaking in behind, and his pass does roll towards the byline, but once again you have Lacazette running across the center back towards the 6-yard box. But when Saka attempts to deliver across into the box, it's cleared by Zima at the front post. Minutes later, we witness Holding carrying the ball towards the halfway line to pull out Provad, and you witness Saka making a run across the left back with Smith Rowe dragging out Hromada. As Holding steps in towards the Slavia half, you have Lacazette pulling out Zima and Saka continuing his run across the left back into space behind, and he's kept onside by Ba. Holding splits Zima in the left back for Saka to break free on goal, and only Ba is able to come across to apply pressure. As Saka breaks towards the 6-yard box, he ends up squandering his 1v1 effort wide of the net. While Arsenal's finishing was poor on the night, Arteta's tactics helped Saka's movement create several issues for Slavia, and it should have won the tie for the Gunners. Hi everybody, thanks for watching and subscribe here for your latest tactical analysis and daily commentary on the InnerViews show. And if that wasn't enough, don't forget you could find more organic, unfiltered soccer/football analysis on the InnerViews podcast, the best soccer/football podcast in the world, available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and any Android apps on your Android devices.